All right, the New York Knicks beat the Philadelphia 76ers 111-99. They get to 500 in a game that I felt was pretty underwhelming from a Knicks fan standpoint up until the fourth quarter. Liked what I saw in the fourth quarter, but it's one of those things where it's just kind of like, as a whole, still not pretty satisfied with this team. I think OG Anunoby has been the best player all year. I mean, he's the only one. Him and Josh Hart. Him and Josh Hart have been the two players this year where I've just been completely satisfied with how they've played. They know their roles. They're starring in their roles. And that's not to blame anybody else. I think Cat's playing well too. So not to say that Cat's playing bad or Mikel's playing bad. I think I'm more high on Bridges than everyone else. But to me, this team still just doesn't look right. Doesn't really flow correctly all the time. Played better defensively today, but also it's like this is a 76ers team that has struggled to score the basketball all year without Joel Embiid. And just because Joel Embiid's back today doesn't necessarily mean that the offense is just going to turn on all of a sudden. He was 2 for 11 today. Yeah. And I think you expect that from someone who hasn't played basketball in a couple months. So for me, it's a game that the Knicks should have won. They did win. It was very sloppy in the first half. A lot of stupid turnovers. Tibbs had to be pissed. Jalen Brunson turns his ankle first play of the third quarter. I'm thinking catastrophic things in my head. Didn't happen. But overall, a win is a win. The Knicks are now 500. I'm hoping this starts a string of victories here where the Knicks can probably rip off 4 or 5 in a row, maybe 6 of 8, something like that. Get solidly above 500, get in a groove. But right now, I got to be honest, man, like just not impressed with this team. Not impressed with this team at all. And I know there's another team that we were going to talk about today, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers, but I still think it's unfair to judge them until their big three is playing. I know the Knicks are mixing people on their bench. Mitchell Robinson's not playing. I understand he's probably a big piece to the puzzle for this thing. We had Matt Ryan wearing number 37. When someone wears number 37, it's a trend. That's a jersey you give to somebody who just shows up and is trying out for the team, or you have an extra jersey. He's not going to be here long. So we're playing someone who's wearing number 37. So at the end of the day, there is some grace that I'm giving. Shout out to Tibbs for playing more than 7 players. But overall, just underwhelming. And I don't know if that's the reaction that I should have, Kwab. I want to hear your take.
Yeah. Shout out to for playing more than 4 people. That was great.
he would play 4 if he could.
He would. Go play all the minutes. But that's always a running joke. But I'll say this. Like you said, when you look at the big picture of the whole game, you expected the Knicks to win. From the Sixers' perspective, Joel Embiid's first game back, you expect him to be rusty. He was rusty. Anybody that's played ball, that's listening to this, that's watching this, you know this for a fact. If you haven't played basketball in a while, regardless of how much you work out, you're not gonna be in basketball shape unless you play basketball. It's just correct. It's just how it happens. You can do all the cardio you want. It doesn't matter. You're gonna be out of breath. And for somebody like Joel, that's always like notoriously known as like he's never really in the best of shape. He looked like he was getting tired. He went through stretches where he seemed like he was trying to catch his breath. But there were some positives for the Sixers. That's like, if you're a Sixers fan, you can see like Jared McCain has been playing.
Love his game.
Playing great. Now, if you having him off the bench, and if you hopefully you get Tyrese Maxey back, and just having, I guess, 2 young dynamic guards you can kind of put in the game and just help you score. That's a positive like Sixers fans can look forward to. I know the season sucks because it's just been injury after injury after injury for Philly fans, but like when you have to take some positives from the game. Like, look, Joel's first game back, it was against a tough opponent, but like they were very competitive through the course of most of the game until like the Knicks pulled away in the fourth. It felt like Paul George looked these like he put up good numbers. Was it 29 points, 10 rebounds, 7 for 11 from 3-point line. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good numbers on that side. As like you probably would want a little bit more from, I guess, everybody else in terms of like Kelly
from the Oubres of the world, man.
Yeah.
They need more from Oubre. They need more from Oubre. They need more from Martin. These are role players who can be high level role players. They need them to step up.
Exactly. Like even Yabusele, who's been having like a decent year. Yeah. Like you just need a little bit more from like you said, from the role player. So you if you get some consistency from that, like you still have, there is still a top team there in the East. Like So hopefully you're hoping Embiid just keeps coming back. He gets right. Tyrese gets back from the hamstring injury and he looks right. So that's my viewpoint from the Sixers side. From the Knicks side, I wanted to ask you like a couple of questions, right? Watching them compared to last year, does it feel like they play a little bit slower?
They play slower when Jalen Brunson's on the floor. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's when Jalen Brunson has the ball. They reset. They get everything organized. They run a high pick and roll with Cat. It's something, and because it's worked for them. It's worked from for the past few years that Jalen Brunson's been here, and they played that way with Julius Randle too. They have picked up the pace. They ran a little bit today, which I'm happy about. They're playing a faster pace this year than they were last year.
Okay.
But with Jalen, when Jalen's running the ship, it's most of the time. I mean, there's been games where he's intentionally like pushed the pace and try to get people involved. I mean, there have been games where that's been a point of emphasis for sure. Okay. But for the most part, yeah, when Jalen has the ball in the half court, it's let's sew it up, let's run a pick and roll. He dances with the ball sometimes. And, Jalen just hasn't played well. It just is what it is. He hasn't shot the ball well. He hasn't been the Jalen Brunson that we've come to expect. I mean, I'm not saying he's playing terribly, but there are people, I'm one of them, who's like, he might be a dark horse MVP candidate.
Yeah.
This is not how a dark horse MVP candidate plays. So I'm not worried about him. I think he'll get going. I think it's the same thing with Bridges, where it's like he's just trying to figure out what the hell he's supposed to be for this team. If you think about if you think about his career, he went from Phoenix, where he's just a 3-and-D guy, kind of a role player who just young buck in the league who's just playing his place. Then he goes to the Nets, where he's like, "Yo, you are our number one option. You gotta lead us every night." And now he's back in the Knicks, and it's like he doesn't know what he is. He doesn't know what to do. I feel like he's just trying to fit in and not mess up. He's not as aggressive on defense, which is weird because I thought he was a little more aggressive watching him play in Phoenix. I don't know about Brooklyn. You can let me know about that.
I'll say this with I see a lot of flack he gets from especially like Nets fans now after he was traded because they were like his defensive reputation is kind of overhyped. That's what they say. That's what
I don't
they
think
say.
it is.
I don't think it is either. I just think like for some reason I don't think like his activity is just not as high as I think it should be, especially when he's on a team where like his offense is not as needed. So I expected his defensive activity kind of ramp up like how it was in Phoenix, just because you have scorers, but you have perimeter defenders with Josh, with OG, and even this game you saw how much Josh Hart was pushing the ball and OG was got a lot of transition dunks. I kind of expect that from Bridges. Like I expect him to be running the floor and getting a couple of easy baskets. I think the positive this game he had was he hit a couple of mid-ranges, went to the post when he was guarded by smaller players, which is a great way for him to like get some spot off.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Like
I love when he's posting up.
Maybe more plays should be called for him in that regard. So that's something that's more like I think coaching based, like that could be easily fixed. So I'm not that worried when it comes to Bridges. I know I'm on Nets Twitter, so I see the running joke was like because when you look at it, the trade, the kind of haul you guys gave up to get him is kind of ridiculous. But he for the player he fits on this team. We've been saying this for a while. It's going to take a while for the team to look like what's supposed to look like, and that includes everybody getting healthy, with Mitchell Robinson, even Precious, and so on and so forth. So that I think that factors into it. You guys are not as healthy as you expected to be going into the season. Like you said, you're playing Matt Ryan. There was a play in the game where Jalen Brunson was coming down the wing and he was looking to pass to Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was curling and was turnovers. Like that's chemistry.
It's just miscommunication.
Miscommunication and chemistry. Like
you don't know who that was on. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you haven't played with that guy like before. So it's like that stuff like that happens. But there were a lot of positives on both sides. I feel like
there were, and I think Bridges he'll get used to things. I just think he has to be like quicker with his decisions, right? Because there are even times where he's posted up, he has a mismatch, and he's like taking forever to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
You got the height advantage. Shoot the ball. Turn and shoot. They're not going to stop you. So I just think he has to be a little more confident. I think they're still getting to know each other. I love what Cat brings offensively. I think he's a phenomenal passer. He's a better passer than I thought he was. And I knew he was a good passer. But I like what I see from Cat most of the time on the offensive end. Wish they could tighten things up defensively. And I think Mitch coming back will be able to hide a few things. And I think maybe Hart goes to the bench, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world. And then you're going to have to use Bridges more offensively because Mitch is basically a zero. So who knows? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know the plan that Tibbs has for the rotation going forward. But at the end of the day, it's a win. I think I'm just waiting for that moment. And I thought I got it in their first win against the Pacers, which silly me because it's really early. It's their first win of the season. But they looked really good then. It was like, oh, this is the vision. You see the vision. And sometimes you still see the vision. They just haven't been able to put it together for 4 quarters for more than multiple games. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. And I'm just waiting for that to actually stay. And I think in large part that will happen when Jalen starts being consistent. So there you have it. The Knicks win. They beat the Sixers 111-99. Still not impressed. Still not impressed.